Of the new Blackberry Z10. So yeah, this is the new phone from Blackberry. Nice little picture of it here. It's looking quite a nice design. It's literally just been released at the end of January. It's looking like a nice device though, quite thin at 9 millimeters. Not quite as thin as some of the other people in the market. Let's say Samsung, Apple, then the new Sony Xperia Z. They're all quite a bit thinner. This is 9 millimeters, so it's not bad though. Here's a little comparison with the iPhone, a couple of Blackberries Z10s. One thing you'll notice is the screen is only 4.2 inches, so it's not much bigger than the 4-inch. This is a 3.5 iPhone 4, I think. But yeah, it's not much bigger than the iPhone 5, but there is quite a lot of bezel. Like they kind of discreetly kind of put this extra bit here and here, but there is a bit of bezel as well. So the screen to size of the device ratio is not really that great. You can see easier on this photo. There's like a kind of big black bars at the bottom. There's also a black bit of glass in between, so quite a big device for the size of the screen you get, but still quite good looking. Obviously, it comes with Blackberry 10 OS, which is basically the new kind of fully, reworked out, trying to save the company kind of OS, and hopefully this is the phone that will help them do it. So specs wise, it's got a HD screen of 768 by 1280, which is 355 pixel density, which is more than the iPhone, but it's not really catching up with competitors with their new phones just coming out this year with 1080p screens. Obviously, it's got things like the micro SD slot for storage and a standard 16 gig on board, which pretty much all Android phones have. And obviously the SD card can go up to 64 gig, which can be a nice bit of extra storage. Another thing, it does have an 8 megapixel camera, so not really, like I said again, not really quite as good as the phones that you'd expect to be coming out in 2013. More of just a bit of a catch up, as it does have the kind of same camera, similar thing to an iPhone 4S. Yeah, I mean it does all the good camera work, good videoing, 1080p. So there's a nice camera in there, but just not really. You expect a 13 megapixel on a new phone like this. It does also have a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz CPU. Once again, phones come out with quad-core CPUs at 1.5 gigahertz. But then I guess the price bracket is, you're probably looking at about £100 cheaper. So you are going to save money, but you are going to be missing out on a few things too. Especially since this is pretty much their new flagship model. You think it'd be the best they could do. Maybe this is the best they could do. As well, the battery, 1,800 milliamps, so better than the iPhone, but not really, once again, in tune with what some other people are coming up with, especially Sony, and I'm presuming the Galaxy S4. Here's a quick picture, anyway, of the size difference. I mean, I think the S3 has, quite a bigger screen, but the actual device is pretty much the same, just because obviously BlackBerry have got that really big bezel that is kind of, sticking out a bit. Even bigger than the iPhones, which notoriously had quite a big bezel each side. Yeah, so here's just a picture of the back as compared to the new iPhone 5 and the BlackBerry. I mean, personally, I think the back looks quite cheap with that kind of plasticky, bobbly material compared to like a flat, aluminum or glass like some other phones are coming out with. It looks okay though. I mean, there's nothing special. It's alright. There's just a close-up of that. But really, I think it does look quite cheap. I mean, it reminds me of the Galaxy S2 back, which was, sure they don't scratch, but I mean, it doesn't scratch, but it already looks like it's been, if your glass phone ended up like that, you'd think it had been damaged. Obviously, it's just a different take. I don't know. Some people like it, some people don't, I guess. Quick size comparison. BlackBerry compared to an iPhone 5. Now, obviously, the iPhone 5 is really, really thin, but new phones coming out between 7 and 7.6, 8 millimeters, kind of really thin. whereas this is 9, so it's quite a bit thicker, a bit wider, and a bit longer. But it does have a little bit of a bigger screen than the iPhone 5, so that's not really the best comparison. Yeah, just a view of the sides. They have done quite a nice job with the buttons. I mean, a lot of companies just with a plastic body and just plastic buttons, but they have got, you know, a nice little few metal buttons, metal volume rockers on the side as well, which is all looking quite good. And here's just like a lineup of some of the latest phones now. There's the Z10, and that's an iPhone 5, and that is a Galaxy S3, and I believe this is Nokia Lumia 920. Now showing those, it is pretty much second biggest in terms of height, but it does have, you know, a bigger screen than the iPhone. But compared to the other Android devices, and obviously Windows Phone as well, it's not really. I don't think the design is quite there, especially with the big bezel, like I've said before. It does have a good display, and the general device looks quite good though. So at least they've got that. Obviously, that is the random picture I decided to put in of the Blackberry CEO trying to recover their company after it's having quite a bad time, especially with the Playbook. But yeah, as you can see, it does look quite a good, you know, business device. And this is just a little kind of idea of the OS it's running, Blackberry 10. I mean, really, obviously, it's just like every kind of other phone operating system. They're all kind of just little square icons with a bit of text underneath. Similar to an iPhone, similar to an Android. And the only people who really stick out is if you can see in, where is it? Here, I mean, Windows is kind of, they've gone their own way, which is, you know, inventive, new. They're not really copying anyone. Where BlackBerry, iPhone, Android, it's just the same, if you ask me. It's just different skins, really. So they haven't really been too inventive, but I guess they're using a formula that's kind of obviously succeeded and they've done well in the past. So I guess they're not really going to. You can't go too wrong. But yeah, so that was the Blackberry Z10. It does come up quite well compared to other phones, but it is kind of playing catch up. It's the kind of phone I'd expect to see, you know, released last year if it wanted to be, you know, up there at the top. But it's come out, you know, I think it's going to cost you about £410, something like that. So it's quite competitively priced. And yeah, I think a lot of the BlackBerry have quite a strong kind of, you know, loyalty base. A lot of people just want the next BlackBerry in the kind of a similar way to the way people want the next iPhone. Not quite as much, obviously. That's why the company's in a bit of trouble. But yeah, thinking of making a few more review videos soon. Maybe do a few reviews, you know, maybe tech-related news kind of things. But yeah, if you want to see more, just like subscribe, and I'll keep on making a few more. Thanks.